The 2006 SCCA Runoffs saw plenty of drama in the Grand Touring 1 class as the number 10 Jaguar of Phil Simms took the lead at the start with the usual bumping and banging a little further back in the pack. A great battle here for fourth as they head into turn 1. On lap 7 at turn 9, Michael Lewis in his Jaguar pounced to the lead. The number 83 of Max Lagat in his backup car works his way from the back all the way to third, but then with a comfortable lead on lap 17, Lewis dropped the wheel, spun. He was able to get his Jaguar refired, but Phil Simms was closing down. He comes into the frame right there. The left front tire after the spin on Lewis's Jaguar goes flat. Phil Simms works his way by, and Phil Simms in his newly acquired Jaguar takes his first national championship. GT1 is where the big muscle gets flexed in the SCCA. Purpose-built two-frame GT race cars with horsepower approaching 700. These cars are fast, and so are the drivers who drive them. Simon GREGG is one of those drivers. 4 pole positions, 5 wins in SCCA national competition. So far in 2007, he's got to be considered one of the favorites. But when you talk about winning races, you've got to talk about Tony Ave. He's won in anything and everything he's ever driven in or on, and he won the June sprints by over 9 seconds. If that performance is repeated here, maybe everyone else should just leave their cars and their trailers. That's not what Phil Simms is thinking. He's got one SCCA national championship to his credit. He wants another one. A handful of victories so far in national competition and the experience of winning the runoffs, he's definitely a contender. For more on GT1, let's go to Dorsey Schrader.
Bill Gray has been competing in GT1 at the runoffs for 15 years. This year he brings a Jim Durhawk-built Corvette, and although he hasn't run a lot of races, he's won 3 of them. Now if there's an underdog in the field, it's this Mazda RX-7. Glenn Jung has the smallest engine in the field, a twin rotor. It's also the lightest car. Now, if tire wear or tires become an issue, this is a car to watch. It could win on the lightweight nature of it. Amy Ruman is in her 5th year as a national championship contender. She's had a stellar season, 7 poles so far, and she's won 5 races. If you like thunder, stay tuned.
For much of 2007, many of the drivers in the SCCA have had but one goal in mind: qualify for the SCCA National Championship Runoffs presented by AT&T. Now that they have arrived at the runoffs, the target is moved and the focus more clearly defined: a national championship. Grand Touring 1 promises to pit the drivers in their high horsepower machines against each other for a battle of 18 laps, and today that battle will take place for the 2nd time at Heartland Park, Topeka. Hello everyone and welcome. I'm Brian Till along with my good friend Dorsey Schrader, and we will call all the action for you from the booth while Mike Johnson and Chris Neville report from the lengthening shadows in pit lane. Dorsey, a very different Heartland Park this year.
And this new configuration will suit these very fast cars very well, because gone is that stupid tight turn 1 and turn 2, replaced with a very fast section. Also, bus stop history out of here. Fast kink there now, turn 9. Now, real fast end of the racetrack here. Very technical end of the racetrack here. We'll see who's got the right stuff to win the race.
So how do you really feel about the tight corners?
Well, they don't work with this. GT1, you're at the very top. These are Trans Am cars. These are what Trans Am cars used to be. This is high horsepower. You said 700? Let's go 800.
Boy, my Trans Am cars only had 600. They're getting faster by the year. For all the stories from pit lane, we'll start with Mike Johnson.
Well, Sean Gray has been fighting engine problems all week in this 09 Camaro. Now, he finally, at the end of qualifying, found a low float in the carburetor. They changed that, and they think they fixed the problem. They did not do the morning warm-up this morning because it was pouring down rain, so they really don't know. On top of that, he broke his ankle this summer. He fell down a flight of steps. He still has 6 screws in his foot, plus a metal plate. Chris, you know all about that in the heat of these things.
Yeah, I do know a couple things about metal plates in my feet, but Brian Long, he's the story today, and he's starting in 12th in his 4th runoffs appearance. Now, he said it's been an easy season, but a tough week. He just couldn't get the car to stick to the road. In the last session, they softened up the car. It's working much better. Now, he does have access to a lot of great parts and pieces because he is the general manager over at Hare Racing Products. The only problem, he's got to remember, his customers are also his competitors.
That always makes it tough when you're racing against the people that are buying parts from you. GT1 It's near and dear to your heart, Dorsey, mine as well. Chris spent time in a Trans Am car. These cars are great to drive, and it is amazing the amount of horsepower they're getting out of it. I know when you drove with Roush, you guys always had cheating motors and a lot of horsepower,
Hey.
but 650 was around the most we could get, and now we're here in 800.
Well, these are bigger. You can allow bigger displacement. They go up 358 cubic inch. That is a NASCAR motor, so these numbers, high 7s, low 8s, that's realistic.
And putting that horsepower to the ground, at least this afternoon, it is nice and cool, but the racetrack is very dirty. This is the final race of the day. You see the sun beginning to set. The shadows are lengthening. It is cool out there, so I don't think tire wear is going to be much of a problem today.
No, it won't. It's going to be a cool racetrack. Sun glare is going to be a problem for sure. Grip, probably.
Okay, of course, that being said, you can always burn up tires on one of these GT1 cars when you got 800 ponies underneath the hood. The GT1, the Thunder here at Heartland Park will be back for it in the GT1 National Championship right after this. The 44th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Today, the battle for the GT1 crown. 27 years GT1 has run at the Runoffs. This will be the 28th. We will crown a 28th champion. 5 former champions showed up here at Heartland Park. Several of them will take the green flag. The field lining up behind the pace car. Tony Ave and his yellow Camaro going to be up front. You see the yellow Volkswagen pace car, the official pace car of the SCCA. Tony Ave starts up front, and then Phil Simms, Michael Lewis, Bill Gregg, all former GT1 champions, so a lot of talent up front. Simon Gregg, Amy Ruman, Sean Gray, all divisional champions. Phil Lasco, who qualified 9th, is a national champion as well in another class, but we're understanding he did not make the grid, so we're not exactly sure what is up with the car of Phil Lasco. But for more of the stories from pit lane, we'll check in first with Chris.
Well, in that 48 car, Ray Irwin, not only the owner here at Heartland Park, but he's also a longtime competitor and builder of GT1 cars. Back in the early 90s, I got my chance to test that one of his GT1 cars at Blackhawk Farms. My first time in one of these cars. Most of the time prior to that, I was in a spec racer, but by the end of the day, I knew I had found my drug of choice. Mike?
Yeah, absolutely right, Brian. Phil Lasco did not make it. He is a national champion. He blew up 2 engines this week, and that ran out of motors, so they packed the truck and they went home. But speaking of, he was driving a Mustang. There's 2 other Mustangs in the class. There's a lot of diversity in this class. You've got 2,900-pound Jaguars all the way down to an 1,800-pound Mazda. That means that Mazda is probably going to be great in the autocross check into the track, where those big, high-powered Camaros, Mustangs, Corvettes, and Jaguars are going to be fast down the straights.
1,800 pounds versus 29. Man, what a big difference. Disappointment for Phil Lasco. He was the T1 national champion in 1997. And Dorsey, it is getting dark out there. The sun really setting. We had a lot of bad weather early. Races have been delayed today, and we're running this race very late. And I think the sun visibility could be an issue.
You read my mind. If they have an early caution of any kind of magnitude whatsoever, this could go to dark really quickly.
And while you see headlight covers, ain't no headlights.
No, we got 40 minutes time allotment for the race and 45 minutes of daylight left as we speak.
And this is when you need to make sure you've got the right shield on your helmet. You saw the sun setting. You can lower that shield a little bit, keep the sun out of your eyes when you need to, but you can raise it as the sun begins to go down a little bit further and have good visibility. Tony Ave lined up alongside Phil Simms in his Jaguar looking for the green. Ave's already on it. The field accelerating. Green flag waves. GT1 takes off at the Runoffs, and Simms, a good jump, leading Ave a little bit when they get to turn 1. And yes, Simms takes the lead.
Wow, that's a big surprise. Phil Simms really getting a good launch off that corner off the start to take the lead early on.
Ave already looking up the inside and takes it back and says, you may have gotten it at the green. I'm going to take it back right now.
And you can tell how fast that turn 1-2 section is compared to what it used to be. These cars really fast on this end of the racetrack.
When you have almost 800 horsepower, it goes there very quickly. You want to go from almost a standing start to 100 miles an hour. 800 horsepower will get you there in a hurry. And remember, when you got 800 horsepower, you got cold racing slicks underneath you. It's going to take a while to get some temperature, and Amy Ruman's around.
Well, she got pushed back straight again. Just grab a gear and keep on going.
Oh, no.
Lift the tires up, turn sideways, and gets collected again.
Right in front of Jordan BUPP in the 9 car. Got a hold of her. She got back in the throttle, lit up the rear tires. The car hooked back to the right. BUPP into the side of Amy Ruman, and her day may be done.
One thing I was going to say before, unlike a Trans Am race, which is 100 miles, where you have to manage these tires, this is not a 100-mile race, and these tires can go off. Here you see Amy getting bumped right here. She gets turned sideways. Now watch the car come up and hit the front of the car. Pushes her back straight, everything good. Grabs the gear, too much throttle here, turns the car sideways, and now BUPP has nowhere to go.
BUPP had nowhere to go. I couldn't get a number on the offending vehicle that got into the left rear of Amy Ruman and turned her around in the beginning. And look, car still has power, but
look how slippery it is. It's been raining all morning. And that car, 2,200 pounds, whatever it does weigh, can't even move.
Tony Ave beginning to stretch his lead. Almost 2 seconds at the end of that first lap. So he might have been asleep at the start, but he woke up very quickly. And the corner workers getting Amy Ruman back on track.
Just in time to get lapped, I would think.
Yep, the leader should be coming by very sharply. We just saw Tony Ave going through turn 3. Amy Ruman right on line now there at the exit of turn 6. So she's got her Corvette back underway.
A good job for the corner workers. Got out there and got her going again. She's putting some mud down on the racetrack. Right now is when they should be catching her. Here's the car. There it is, the 09. That's what got into her.
Definitely the car that got into
Gray.
Amy Ruman.
Yeah, Sean Gray got into Amy Ruman down there, and that's what turned her around. There's the damage.
A lot of bodywork damage, but it looks like Sean Gray's day may well be done. Here's a look again. Just gets into the left rear with his right front.
And that's where the damage was done when he got back up into the front end. It straightened her out. Then again, she jumps on the throttle and spins up to her tires. And there's BUPP's car. That's the one that got collected with nowhere to go.
They'll try to get the tape back on that and get it back out on track. But anytime you come to pit road on a race that's as short as the runoffs, your chance for victory is gone.
And again, we're lucky this didn't bring out a full course caution or any kind of delay in the proceedings, because daylight's not waiting on these boys, is it?
Oh, absolutely not. We've seen those problems earlier today. As damp as it has been, if you get off the racetrack, you're probably going to hit something. With all that mud, it's hard to get the car out of the ditches. And we've seen several red flags in the races earlier today where the entire field had to come to pit road. Not happening right now. Ray Irwin flashes by, and his number 48 was 8th the last time by and maintains that position as he flashes across the line this time. Ray Irwin looking to improve on a racetrack that he should know very well. Then JUNG right behind him. Flashing by. JUNG in 9th, and then Jim Bradley. David Firsthand right behind him, so a good battle going on here. That's the battle for 8th. Remember, JUNG in a very light car, some 1,100 pounds lighter than some of these other GT1 machines.
David Firsthand looks like he's driving Chris Neville's old Tommy Bahama car.
It's very similar to that. Amy Ruman on pit road.
This is the damage that we saw after she got spun and then tried to re-enter, get going again, and unfortunately turned sideways.
Tony Ave out in front, trying to do what he did at the June sprints, and that is win by a sizable margin. Tony Ave 4 seconds in hand, leading the GT1 field from Heartland Park, the SCCA National Championships.
History and family are two key elements that makes SCCA racing so special. Defending national GT1 champion Phil Simms and his daughter Jill URSO are going to try to become the first father-daughter combination to ever win a national championship. Phil, defending national champion, what kind of advice can you give your daughter to help her win her first runoffs?
We're talking about running the line where she needs to be, running tighter in the corners because it makes the track shorter, so it's got to be quicker in her slower horsepower car.
Now, Jill, obviously, if his car's getting there a lot faster, how much advice can really portray into your little Mini?
It really helps with the line because you got to make sure you hit the line every time and just never give up and be there at the end.
Well, never giving up is a key element to winning that first national championship.
Yeah, you certainly can't give up. She finished 13th in her showroom stock B race yesterday. So soon she'll be saying, hey, Dad, how about the keys to the Jag?
And the Jag's running in second place right now to Tony Ave. Tony's clocked out of the picture. He's way up the road somewhere, but here's Phil Simms. Pretty car.
Oh, beautiful car. Tony Ave has taken off, but Simms hanging there. And remember, I mean, these are seriously high-strung racing machines, and you can have a problem. You've got to race all the way to the checker flag. We keep saying that, but we've seen many a driver this weekend have a problem on the last lap. So even though Tony Ave may have a comfortable lead right now, Still has to make it all the way to the end if he wants to claim the gold.
These cars run at a lighter weight than Trans Am. They can run larger motors than Trans Am. They run a much grippier tire because they don't have to go the distance. So the potential for speed is huge.
Ray Irwin in the yellow and blue number 48 Corvette beginning to put pressure on the number 8 Bernard BUPP Jr. Oh, and BUPP with a little lockup there coming into turn 5, one of the heavier braking areas on this racetrack. And Irwin beginning to close down.
Got to be getting pretty cool out there, Brian. I don't think we hit a high of over 55 today. Sun is setting, and these cars require a lot of grip because they got a lot of grunt.
Then you see Jim Bradley, David FIRSTAN again. They're having a good run. Bradley there in the 01, that Corvette. Jim Bradley been around for a long time. Great guy, great family, and having a great time running these GT1 cars at the runoffs. Been a long-time competitor in the SCCA. And they're having a good go of it. You know, you get to come to the runoffs, Dorsey. You get an invitation. You have to qualify. You've got to be good enough to get here. And when you get here, guys like this know that their shot at gold, it's probably a long one. It's a long shot. But they come and they race hard because, you know what? It's just an honor to be here. And it's good fun.
And the crowd loves these cars. They love the thunder of these big V8s and the way they sound. And these are ground pounders. They go by, they shake your stomach, they shake the ground out from under you.
FIRSTAN getting a good look around to the outside of Jim Bradley, but that's not really where you want to be for turn 1. Bradley a little bit protective down on the inside. FIRSTAN, oh, I thought he was going to take a look, but no. Thought better of it. Good call on his part.
Yeah, you don't want to put your nose in there. This turn 1 now for some of these cars is flat out, so you don't want to make a mistake on a part of the racetrack that you're going that fast.
Saw a lot of hands there in the windscreen of Jim Bradley's Corvette, meaning he is working hard in that car. Hard to get tire temperatures right now, and Bradley doing everything he can to hold off FIRSTAN right there behind him. He was looking up the inside, nothing doing. I think that Mustang may be a little bit better than the Corvette right now, but catching one of these guys and getting by him are two different things. Out of turn 6, the climb up the hill through the left-hander, turn 7, then into what used to be the bus stop. You felt about like the bus stop like you did about turn 1, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it just all it did was tear up a lot of equipment, but right now it's just more of a kink, so really fast. It's for drivers who like to go quick, they like this place now.
The SCCA National Championship runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka. The sun beginning to set. We'll be back. The GT1 SCCA National Championship runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka. For the 44th year, drivers come to Heartland Park to take on the best of the best on what is the runoffs. Only the second time the runoffs have been combated here at Heartland Park. The competition has come here to a new racetrack, a new design in Grand Touring 1. Thundering around this facility right now, 2.5 miles worth, and Tony Ave having it all his way. 9 seconds in hand, and interestingly enough, 9 seconds is what he won the June sprints up by.
And this race far from over. We're about 19.5 minutes left. Ave's stretching his lead. He's running, oh, just under a second of a lap faster than any other car.
Ave, everything seems to be going well on him, Mike.
Rick Peters, crew chief for Tony Ave. I think a lot of us expected him to pretty much pull away with this race, but did you expect him to go this far, this fast, this early?
No, just trying to pace ourselves for the race. You know, don't want to take anything for granted. Anything can happen, so we'll just keep pushing along and, you know, see what happens.
Now, are you telling him right now to continue pushing as hard as he can, or is he just going to set a pace with this 9-second lead?
I think he's setting a pace that we can live with. You know, that you know, I think we can maintain without hurting the rear tires. So just keep our fingers crossed.
All right, well, Tony Ave still looking for that first national championship at GT1.
That surprises me a lot because Tony Ave is driven pro. He's driven in every kind of car just about imaginable and done really well, as you said, Brian, not to have won this championship. It shows you how hard it is.
Oh, Ray Irwin, he's worked his way by BUPP, gotten past him, now down the straightaway. Another Corvette in the picture there as well, but Ray Irwin moving forward. That's Jung back there in the Mazda. Ray Irwin moving forward. Flashes across the line. He's up to 7th.
On a really hot day, that Mazda of Jung's might have been a really factor here, you know, if you were going to run tires up it. As cool as it is right now, I think it's all a horsepower issue.
I think Jung would have preferred that the runoffs were in June. Like you said, Dorsey, he needed that temperature. And look at this. Irwin just sneaks up the inside. BUPP doing a good job of saying, you know what? I'm not risking all that body work just to hold you back right there, bud. Go ahead.
Yeah, BUPP gave him the room he needed, because had he turned down on him, there would have been fender-to-fender contact.
This body work is expensive. A lot of carbon fiber on there. You don't want to tear it up.
These cars are expensive all the way through. I mean, if you're pushing 800 horsepower out of a 358 cubic inch engine, those engines are probably upward of $50,000.
Absolutely. Ray Irwin should know this place well. Once again, he owns it. And that Mazda screaming around this Heartland Park circuit. We talked about 1,100 pounds lighter than some of the cars out there, but at 50 some odd degrees right now, probably mid 50s on the racetrack, and the shadows coming. That means that the racetrack temperature itself is very cool. You can have a cool day, but bright sunshine gives you some track temperature. They don't have ambient, they don't have track temperature today, and so that tire wear for the other guys, it's just not going to be there, and Jung's not going to have the advantage that he could have.
It's actually amazing that he can get the car down to 1,800 pounds. That's really light.
A little further back, the 05.
This is your 10th place battle going on between the 05. That's David THURSTON and James Bradley right behind him.
THURSTON had gotten by Bradley a few laps ago, but Jim doing a good job trying to hang on to the back there in his Corvette.
And look right behind there, that car, I swear that must be
Chris Neville.
It's Chris Neville back there. It's not really, but it's the car he used to run. I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't think they changed the decals on it. I recognize the palm tree on the front. That's Bud Thurston in the number 88. He's running in the 12th position right now. Thurston goes by, then Bradley, then there's the 88 that we were just talking about, and it still says Tommy Bahama on the side of it.
Yeah, these cars, a lot of them were Trans Am cars at one time. Some of them have been built new since that point in time. They're allowed modifications that we didn't have in Trans Am, which, like I said, potentially makes these even quicker than what a Trans Am car would have been.
Are we sure that Chris Neville is still down in pit road?
I haven't heard a peep out of him.
It may be his car. Carl Janin right there in 13th, trying to chase down Thurston in front of him in that beautiful Corvette. Camaro there in the hands of Carl Janin. Meanwhile, Tony Ave continues to lead in his Corvette. It has been since 2003 that a Chevrolet product has won the GT1 National Championship. Will it happen today? Stick around, we'll find out if Tony Ave can hold on. The GT1 SCCA National Championships at the drop of the green. Phil Simms, a great jump, takes the lead from Tony Ave down in turn 1. That lead is not going to last for long. Ave coming back. 2 corners later in turn 3, moves up the inside of Phil Simms' Jaguar and has never been headed since. Ave out to a 9-second lead, but then Amy Ruman with problems. Gets pushed around as she gets refired. She has problems again. Jordan BUPP into the side of her. Amy Ruman, not a very happy race car driver right now. Tony Ave in the beautiful number 44. The Corvette, not a mark on that C6 bodywork. And Ave having it all his way, Dorsey.
It's a really good looking car. Whoever put that one back together again. You know, we looked earlier on this in the set. We were talking about the HRP. That's Irv Hare's product company. That's a company that he did. Of course, Hare, a longtime Trans Am competitor, is outfitting a lot of these teams with the parts and so forth that they need.
Ave leads through turn 2. Meanwhile, let's check in with Chris. Are you actually there, Chris?
Yeah, I'm not out there driving, guys. And just to clarify, that's not my old car. I think that's the car that Tom Gloy ran Butch Leitzinger in back in 2001. But I'm down here with Amy Ruman. Amy, we saw you come in, shaking your head, obviously very disappointed. What happened in that opening lap incident?
Well, I had a great start in the McNichol Chevrolet today, and unfortunately I was caught up by ignorant driving, and they got me. I think that's turn, the left-hander, I think it's turn 6 or 7 there. And the orange Camaro just drove right up in the back of me, turned me around in front of the field, and I got hit on every corner after that. It pushed me out, but it's just too wrecked to drive.
Yeah, 23 car, obviously very bent up down here in pit lane. She's disappointed. It's been a long 2 weeks.
Well, Amy Ruman, the daughter of Bob Ruman, who competed in Trans Am against all the 3 of us, actually, during his point behind the wheel.
And Amy's had a great season. 7 races, 5 wins in divisional competition. She won her division, the Northeast Division. And now look at this battle heating up. The 88, Bud Thurston. Jim Bradley behind him and another Corvette. See, Thurston has gotten away a bit from those two cars, but Thurston on his way out. Thurston in front of him in his Mustang, beginning to pull away.
I wonder what the visibility is really like. Our camera lens opens up a lot better and brings in more light than what your eyes can do. You see all the lights on around here, but those lights aren't designated to light this racetrack up.
Well, it is late. It is 6:30 and the sun has already set. It is moved down in the western sky, and I guarantee you visibility is going to be difficult. Right now, though, battle beginning to close down. Glenn Jung in his Mazda beginning to catch up with Bernard BUPP, and Ray Irwin right in front of BUPP in that yellow and blue Corvette. That's Irwin, then BUPP, then Jung.
And as you said earlier on, Jung on this end of the racetrack is going to be better, and he's taking a look right now. The lighter weight vehicle back on that corner, the autocross type section, would be where it's going to be its strongest.
He just couldn't hang on the outside of BUPP through that corner. He would have had the inside for turn 14. Nothing doing there. Irwin brings him down the front straightaway, the drag strip one more time. The positions stay the same. The pressure is getting more intense every lap.
Ryan, and you see all the discarded rubber and all the junk that's on this racetrack after a day of racing. All these cars running through it. I got to assume that it's getting pretty slippery out there.
Ray Irwin continues to hold on to his position in 7th. Tony Ave continues to lead at the GT1 National Championship, Heartland Park. The SCCA National Championships from Heartland Park, the GT1 National Championship underway. 27 years of GT1 racing. This will be the 28th GT1 champion that will be crowned. Right now, a good battle on the racetrack. Ray Irwin, who had been running 7th, has had a mistake. Bernard BUPP has moved past him, as has Glenn Jung. Irwin has slipped 2 positions. You see him flash by there in that yellow and blue Corvette. He's fallen to the back of that 3-car serial.
And I was just saying about all of the stuff on the racetrack and it getting slippery. I noticed it when I saw the shot coming onto the front straightaway, that the cars were starting to dance around on the debris that's on that racetrack.
And I love the flame being belched by that Mazda there when he decelerates. Another good battle here, the 05 and the 88.
That's still your 10th place battle. That hasn't changed. They're still going after each other pretty darn hard.
Oh, Bradley, or I'm sorry, that wasn't Bradley in the 88. That's Bud Thurston.
Oh, and a good run. Oh, too much throttle, almost gets it spun out.
Come across that paint stripe, you're going to get wheel spin right now. Thurston in the Mustang still holding on for everything he's got. Bud Thurston right behind him, really putting the pressure on, and they can't just pay attention to their own battle because Jim Bradley's still hanging there, the 3rd car in line. These two guys get together, they make a mistake. Jim Bradley's going to be the benefactor and pick up 2 positions.
And you see what happened when Bud Thurston tried to get inside. He pulls offline and he gets into those marbles, and as a result, those marbles start flying off the bay. You see, it's discarded rubber. These guys, I think, can pick up a lot of pickup on these tires in a heartbeat if they don't stay online.
Yeah, you see it flying off there. This is the last race of the day. There's mud. Oh, and you saw the problem right there for Thurston. Got a little wide coming out of 5. There is mud, there's rubber, there's race car parts, there's oil. You name it, it's on the racetrack right now. And what's not out there is a lot of light.
No, that's for sure. And you know what it's like when you get that pickup on your tires. I mean, you're all of a sudden sitting around there skating on marbles and can't do anything.
Glenn Jung now trying to take his battle to BUPP in front of him in the number 8. That is the battle for 7th. They're having a good go of it. That fire belching out of the exhaust pipe on that Mazda. And this is where you were talking about it. Jung should be a little bit quicker, but just seems to struggle with where he wants to put the car to try to get the move done.
Yeah, he hasn't found a way by yet, that's for sure. But like I said, 1,800 pounds, that car should be really good on that end of the racetrack.
Look at the rubber flying off as they drive down the front straightaway.
So you got to know if that's all up underneath those tires. They're skating right now. They're on an ice skating rink.
Picking that rubber up on those hot tires as they come through the autocross section and then discarding it down the front straightaway. Tony Ave continues to lead, though. Now, almost 13 seconds in hand. Tony Ave in control here at the GT1 National Championship Runoffs from Heartland Park, Topeka. Stick with us, everyone.
In racing, the typical yardstick is fastest to slowest, but in GT1, we've also got oldest to youngest. Not only do these cars share the same paddock spot, These drivers share the same last name. Kenny Bump, 70 years old, racing with his weekend with his son Jordan, 20 years old. Jordan, your dad's been racing for 26 years. What's the best piece of advice he's passed on to you?
Well, when we get in the race car, people don't always do things that we like, and in life the same thing happens, and we just have to take our lumps and get into the car and enjoy ourselves and hold ourselves to the same standards and morals, and he just wants to make sure I'm having a great time and enjoying ourselves and being safe, so that's all we can do.
Well, Jordan's got his work cut out for him. His dad's behind the wheel of a car that won the Rolex 24.
There we are back on the racetrack. Good battle. BUPP still out in front.
Kenny's up into 7th place right there. A great guy, a guy that I've raced against for many, many years. Outstanding gentleman.
Dad showing him how it's done. Jordan being shown well back in 15th, many laps down, so he had problems early on. But look at Glenn Jung really putting the pressure on Kenny BUPP.
And you would think in the brake zone, Brian, is where he should be able to take it away. It takes a look right now. Under braking, the Mazda should have huge advantage being that much lighter.
Go back to the right. Should go back to the right and get him. No, he can't get it done. He's not fast enough. Feels like I think he needs to stay up behind Kenny BUPP as they go through 4 there and then make the pop in 5, but just not positioning the car where it needs to be right now.
Well, the Mazda is a momentum car. It doesn't accelerate well from a slow start, whereas the big V8 car does accelerate greatly from a slow start. So what he might want to do, Jung might want to back off and get a big run going, try to time that pass somewhere into one of the braking zones at the end of one of these tighter little straightaways.
They head down this back straightaway. They'll go to the autocross section. Dorsey, are you talking about the difference in the torque of the V8 and the rotary power plant?
I don't go with that T word anymore, but
I tried to pull you in. You wouldn't fall for it. Right now, Kenny BUPP. Glenn Jung trying to pull him in. But right there, Jung feints way left, and I'm not really sure that he needs to go there.
I don't think he needs to go there either, Brian. He's just really having a hard time trying to figure out a way by. He would have better exit speed if he'd back away and run those series of corners by himself.
There's the other battle that we've been following. The 48 of Ray Irwin, the 05 David THURSTON, and then the 88 of Bud Thurston. Irwin right now had those problems, dropped back. He's moved back to the front of this pack, so whatever problem Ray had, he's managed to work his way back up, and now he's back up to the 9th position.
But they're only going to have 3 more laps to kind of figure out which way to go with this, because we're running out of daylight and we're also running out of laps. As this is an 18-lap race, we just completed 16.
16 laps in the books, 2 to go. These guys still battling it out, and I can tell you right now it is getting hard for them to see. As I look out the window of our booth, it is pretty dark outside, and we're not traveling at 150, 160 miles an hour. There's the 12 car. We haven't talked much about Michael Lewis. Running kind of unmolested right now, having a good go of it. Right behind him, the 49 of Bill Gray. These two guys kind of been holding station all day long. Michael Lewis thought perhaps this would be his year. His crew saying they've never seen him as focused as he's been this year, but just doesn't have the speed today. Just can't seem to get it done. Pace that he's running right now, just almost a second off of the lap times that Tony Ave is running, and right now really beginning to be pressured by Bill Gray.
Mike Lewis, of course, was a full-time Trans Am competitor for a long time. He runs in the ALMS series currently, and Bill Gray gets under him and takes that position.
Wondering if Lewis is beginning to have some type of a problem. Michael Lewis is a 4-time national champion, 3 times in GT3, once in GT1 class. He's beginning to slip backwards a little bit. Bill Gray charging to the front.
Of course, Bill Gray, this is his 15th runoff in GT1, so no rookie there either.
Boy, he has seen some changes in these GT1 machines throughout 15 years of competition here. Working his way through 8-9.
That's a Jim Durhog built Corvette. Durhog, of course, one of the longest competitors, if not the longest competitor in Trans Am.
And Durhog can turn out some cars that are just downright fast. I think Chris Neville may have driven for him. I know you ran a couple of races with Jim Durhog.
Both of us drove for Jim. Jim been around a long time, was a driver himself. At the time he retired, he had more Trans Am starts than any driver.
Right now, Michael Lewis trying to make amends.
Oh, trouble!
Oh, that started back at the apex. Bill Gray just in the throttle.
Stop! Oh, he got her stopped.
Well, it was going to stop one way or the other.
Yeah.
Well, once it got to the concrete, it was going to stop. Let's go back to that battle between 05 and 88. David THURSTON and Bud Thurston there.
We're on the last lap, Brian, so they only have a few corners left to try to figure out the puzzle.
Ray Irwin, the blue and yellow Camaro there, flashes by, but Thurston beginning to put the pressure on a little bit, and there's your leader right there. That's Tony Ave. He's beginning to catch these guys.
Okay, so Ave's on his last lap. I don't believe, unless Tony passes him, that they will get that checkered flag. They'll have one more lap around here to get it done.
And Jim Bradley may have done the best thing. He slowed down, let Tony Ave go. Jim Bradley's race is about to be done as well. If he had stayed in front of him, he would have had to completed another lap. Tony Ave through the autocross section for the last time. Tony Ave has won championships in the past, but never won in the SCCA Club Racing Division. He's about to take the GT1 National Championship. The 28th time a crown has been handed out in GT1, and Tony Ave takes the victory, takes the gold medal, and takes his Corvette to the top step of the podium.
Meanwhile, back at the race, these guys have got about half of a lap to make this work. Now remember, the very last lap of the corner, or the last corner on the racetrack, is under yellow because of the spun car of Bill Gregg. The pass will have to be made if possible before that.
And look at the brake lights glow. I say glow because you can see him so well now because it is getting to be so dark on the racetrack. Ray Irwin holding down station right now in the 8th position, but look at Thurston back there in his Corvette. He's getting racy.
And he knows he's getting racy because he's got 4 or 5 corners to make this stick.
And now, as dirty as the racetrack is, it's hard to see those apexes. It's hard to see the track out. Look at Ray Irwin through 8-9. He slowed a little bit more than he has in the past. Hard to see where the track out is. You got to be really careful. You drop a wheel, you're going to taste concrete.
Absolutely. Around here, as wet as it is. Now they're in the autocross section where actually you can get some passing done in here.
Thurston really beginning to apply the pressure, but he literally has 2 corners left to get the job done. If it doesn't happen in this right-hander, it's got to happen in 14. And I don't think he's close enough, Dorsey. It's not going to happen here. The drag race will be to the line. But I think Thurston has gotten a good enough run off, and he has. And they'll cross the line just like that. 48, 05, 88. Good race-long battle. But the victory goes to Tony Ave. Phil Simms claims 2nd. Not bad after taking the victory last year. And then Michael Lewis holds on to take 3rd. Tony Ave rolls down pit lane. Let's head down to Chris.
Well, Rick Peters finally comes down off the wall after congratulating the entire team. Rick, we typically see a lot of very tight racing in GT1, but Tony just drove away from him today.
Yeah, it's pretty typical Tony. I mean, the car's a pretty good piece, but, you know, it doesn't hurt to have him wheeling it around for you.
Well, pretty good piece. You guys bought all this equipment from the Riley Group, Riley Technologies, but you had to make some modifications there, too, for GT1.
Yeah, we had to change a few things to get the bigger radial tire in. The car was designed off a 27-inch rear tire, and they're 28.5, so that was a little bit. You had to change a lot of bodywork trimming to make that fit. Had to widen the track in the back a little bit to clear all the lower A-arm pieces and stuff, but it's been a really good car. Can't complain. It's a great piece.
All that time, all those changes worked well today.
Can't complain at all. Tony Ave won the Oldsmobile Pro Series Championship in '92. He won a Snowmobile Championship in '93, and now he owns the title of GT1 National Champion in the SCCA. We'll be back right after this. The GT1 SCCA National Championship has been decided under the lights at Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas, and Tony Ave has taken the gold. Let's head down to Chris Neville.
Well, Tony Ave's won a lot of professional races, professional championships. Now he gets his first runoffs win. We're hanging that medal around his neck right now. Tony, you made it look so easy. You didn't even break a sweat out there.
Well, I think we have the best car. We build these cars now, and you got to thank Mark Smith at Pro Motor for building us good engines, but he's been bugging me to build a faster one, and we're going to need one. Phil, he out-dragged us. He's been faster on a straightaway all week, so. But really, I got to thank Larry and Debbie Beebe. They bought the car from me and had me build it, and then were good enough to have me drive it, and they wanted to win the runoffs. So thankfully we did. Rick, Jill, Jeff, Luke, everybody at the shop, they're the ones who do all the work. I just sort of drive around for about a half an hour.
Tony, take me through that pass right from the green flag.
Well, he got the drop, and I was worried about that because he'd been fast on the straightaway all week, and Phil's a good starter. Fortunately, and we have a little better car, and so when I got down into turn 1, I didn't really want to do a move right away because everybody's so close. I'm afraid if we touched or something, you know, we could get turned around. So I waited till he kind of had a little trouble and just jumped inside of them. And then I could see I could pull out pretty easy. And so I got about 9 seconds or so. There's been a lot of pace cars today, so I didn't want to use all the tires up and then have to race them at the end. So I kind of ran around, and he must have had some troubles because he started fading. But it's been a great year, and I started out racing in SCCA and been friends with Ray Irwin for a long time. I'm just glad I could come back and help support everybody.
Well, he's driven for a lot of years. He went to be a team owner. He's got a great ARCA team. Today, back behind the wheel.
And Ray Irwin is a good friend of his, but they played a really mean joke on him the other day. Ray Irwin had the security guys come out. Tony Ave got a ticket in Alabama a couple of weeks ago, and Ray Irwin had the police come out and play a joke on Tony Ave and say that they were going to extradite him back to Alabama, and they almost had the cuffs on him. Tony had fallen for it. He looked around, and Ray Irwin laughing hysterically. Ave takes the championship. Phil Simms, another podium finish as well for Michael Lewis. Simon Gregg, a good run for him as well. And then Kenny Bupp, a good run. For a guy that has run for as long as he has, a top 6, great run for Kenny Bupp. He's got to be pleased with that. Saw good battles. Jim Bradley in his Corvette doing a good job as well. And then the problems for Amy Ruman. Disappointment there. More stories. We'll head down to Mike Johnson.
Well, Phil, you won the championship last year, and you were leading into turn 1, but what happened after that?
Well, Tony kind of got his nose stuck in beside me. We went into 1, and he got on the inside of me going into 3 and got around me. With all the rain that we had, it's forced the rubber off the track. The car was a little loose, so I run it as hard as I could run it and stay on the track and tried to run him down. He got out on me, then we got to run the same lap times, and I think I was running just a dab quicker than him at the end, but he's out so far on me I couldn't catch him.
Well, Tony seemed to think that actually you were catching him in the middle, but then at the end, I guess that's when your tires really started to fall off.
Yeah, they'd started. They was about done. There's much mud on the track. You just wouldn't believe the track. Every corner of the rumble strips is covered in mud, so you have to run a wider line to get through there.
Kind of a disappointment. You and your daughter hoping to get those father-daughter win. Didn't come to fruition this year, did it?
Nope. But we tried and done our very best. I mean, that's all we can do.
Well, come back next year. We'll try it again, right?
You got it.
That is what the Runoffs is all about, and that is a beautiful car. And you heard Tony obviously say I didn't want to get together. Well, I guarantee you Phil Simms didn't want to damage the paint on that either. A beautiful car. We'll be back for more interviews from the combatants in the SCCA GT1 National Championship Runoffs when we come back. Join us at Heartland Park. The SCCA GT1 National Championships. There's a good look at your top 10 once again. Brian Long with a great drive to 5th from his 12th place starting position. What about Kenny Bupp, 14th to 8th? Good stories throughout this field. Let's head down to Chris Neville.
Well, Simon Gregg has taken the past 3 years off, but this year he won 5 races, 3 of them at Daytona in 1 week. And Simon, your first Runoffs appearance in GT1, you finished 4th. You got to be proud.
Yeah, thanks to the Durhog Motorsports crew, the car ran flawlessly all week. It was a tricky race with the light conditions. At the start, I had to avoid a crash that was right in front of me with Amy Ruman. And Bill, the car in front of me, kind of pulled away, and I was running by myself after that.
Mike? Brian, you came from 12th today to finish 5th. It must have had an amazing first couple laps there.
Yeah, we got a good jump on everybody. Got past a few of them before turn 1, and then got past a couple more on the first turn with a little incident down there in I think about turn 6 area. But we had a good run. The car was good and a lot better than what we qualified, so we knew we'd have a good finish.
How was the darkness at the end of the race in your tires? Were they starting to fall apart, or was the car pretty good still at the end?
It wasn't too bad at the end. Can't complain at all. The darkness, a little something to get used to. We're not used to running in this late at night, but all in all, everything worked good. Got to thank my family for all their help and getting us here.
All right, great job. Congratulations.
Brian Long from 12th to 5th. No, he has absolutely nothing to complain about. And I can tell you, though, the visibility at the end, Dorsey, had to be extreme. We'll head back down to pit lane and Chris.
Jim, you got to watch your driver out here. You've run in a few of these. You ran Trans Am for so long. How's it see your boy finish up in 4th?
Simon did a good job. You know, it's his first year back. He took 3 years off, and he came back this year, and he did a really, really great job. So, you know, we'll set our sights on next year and see if we can get on the podium next year.
Well, this is Jim's 8th car he's built. He's got number 5 ready to come out of the shop and number 10 ready to go to powder coat.
Well, if you want to go fast in a GT1 car, there's the man you need to talk to. He certainly knows how to make them go fast, Dorsey.
Boy, he's been building them a long time, and Chris drove one, I drove one, and he gets the job done. That's a good man right there.
See the cars lined up, the light reflecting off of the paint. That is how dark it is here in the last few laps. Done almost in complete darkness. But any way you look at it, we still leave with a GT1 SCCA national champion. And Tony Ave did not put a wheel wrong the entire time.
Good job for Tony Ave, but like I said at the beginning of the race, he's got the most experience in these kind of cars or any kind of car. And it made it look easy. I'm sure it wasn't as easy as it looked.
Now, Amy Ruman with her problem, she was not happy. Tony Ave certainly was. The GT1 National Championship, the gold goes to Tony Ave. The rest of the competitors have 2008 to look forward to. Make sure you join us for all of the SCCA National Championship runoffs action right here on Speed. For Dorsey Schrader, Mike Johnson, Chris Neville, I'm Brian Till. We'll catch you next time right here. So long, everyone.